Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the new content we got today, as well as just the bosses, World Series rewards, BR rewards, all of that stuff is going to be right here. So I'm just going to call it like new content, but I'm also kind of going to give my opinion on a lot of those cards because I think, a lot of people are going to make the World Series push this weekend. A lot of people are going to try to go 10-0 in BR this weekend. A lot of people are going to earn their first program boss this weekend. So I feel like all of that's kind of relevant. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. If you do, like and subscribe. And let's go ahead and hop into it. So we'll just kind of start at the bottom because that's the old content. So we're some new content here. Danny I've included, Wilson I've included. They're like the two big pulls out of the Spotlight program this week. Danny's S tier. Is he necessarily worth like the 65k upgrade on his gold card? Probably not. The biggest difference is some pitch controls and pitching clutch. So maybe if you're on GOAT, then that's super relevant for you. Otherwise, if you're on like Legend and below, I think you can probably live with the gold one with a good inside edge personally. And then Wilson, A tier. Objectively, nothing wrong with the card. If he came out 3 weeks ago, he'd be the best catcher in the game. But there's just a ton of switch hitting catchers with crazy attributes, swings, quirks now, to where he's not really super relevant. Bernie, cool, A tier. He kind of just got outpaced by the Jason Dominguez that we got today, which is a little unfortunate, but he's still cool. He still has really high clutch. What hurts him is no secondary position. It's not like Jason's a phenomenal fielder on his own, but he's a completely free card. He's already a primary left fielder. So I wouldn't say Jason Dominguez is like the Bernie Williams comp. The better comp is Brian Reynolds because a lot of people are already playing Brian in left field. Jason just, I think, has higher contact and higher power than Brian. Slightly worse fielder, but since he's going to be in his primary of left field, this card's crazy for a free card. Eckersley, B tier. He's going to be a legend and GOAT pitcher pretty much exclusively. Very similar to like a Darren O'Day, where if you just want to put like a slider in a corner every time, this is going to be your guy. Not going to blow anybody away with velo, doesn't really have the best speed differentials. But if you just want to tuck a pitch in a corner every time and make your opponent go get it, that's where Eckersley's going to be abusive, but he's not going to be anything crazy. Program boss Story, probably B tier. He also kind of got supplanted today by some other cards. I mean, you can make the argument that the Weekend Classic Correa that we got like, what, month and a half ago at this point, month and a week, something like that, is low-key a better card than this. So I love Trevor Story, but he's got okay speed. He's nothing insane defensively, and he doesn't hit righties that great. So he's cool. He's fine, but I don't think he has a spot in a lot of people's teams, which is unfortunate. Gagne, S tier by default. I don't think he's anything great. I think he has a better pitch mix than he usually does, and relative to where a lot of other cards are, it's nice, like the hits and pitching clutch and control that this Gagne will have. But at the end of the day, it's still Gagne. So I don't think he's going to be that hard to hit, but just kind of by default, I think he's S tier. Rengifo, I think I'm going to factor in cost. With like him, Story, Eckersley, I'm going to think about cost a little bit because we got very good free alternatives to kind of quiet down the pay-to-win crowd today. We got some very good free alternatives to a lot of these cards. And Rengifo was relevant for like all of 3 days, where he was like a slightly better Polanco kind of, a little more positional versatility than Polanco. In the outfield, he's maybe still a relevant card, but in the infield, I think we just got some free options that are comparable, if not better, than him. Springer, cool. Definitely going to be better in his secondary of right fielder. He doesn't project as like a pure center fielder, but there's always a crowd of people that love his swing. Let's go ahead and add Hunter Brown. Add Adolis on here. Did forget about that program coming out. Adolis kind of reminded me where very similar to this Springer. It's a little weird though, like one's a World Series reward and one is a random program that you can do in 15 minutes because it's all moments. But Adolis is really good. There's similar to Springer, always kind of a crowd of people that really enjoy his swing. I saw a lot of them in like BR the last few years of like P4, P5, like silver, gold Adolis Garcias. So there's definitely a crowd of people that enjoy his swing. Similar to Springer, his best spot is not going to be center field. You're going to have to stick him in a corner spot if you really want to get the most out of him. This Hunter Brown, terrible. Usually he gets like a splitter, cutter, sinker, like the craziest mix ever. He just kind of misses outlier or like top end velo. This one doesn't have top end velo and doesn't have the craziest mix. So unfortunately, this card's mostly irrelevant, which I think is what C tier is. He's not a bad card. I'm not going to sit here and say that you can't get a good start out of him. But C tier is just kind of mid. It's just irrelevant. I think that's kind of where he fits in. Pedro, A tier. I don't think he's going to be anything crazy. I think, you know, he's fighting with Dustin May for that like 5 spot. He's fighting with like Dustin May or Al Leiter or, you know, whoever, insert 5th starter here. That's his spot. I think he's better than the Easter DeGrom, and then it's between like him, Leiter, and Dustin May kind of for that 5th spot for a lot of people, assuming you're running like the best rotation in the game. So not a bad card. I always kind of like Pedro. And now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of our Moonshot cards for today. So I might have to check some stats here because I'm not super up to date. Zach Neto, B tier. He just kind of has a niche. If you need a pinch hitter against lefties that also has good clutch, here you go. That's going to be his best role, and he's not going to be used outside of that for most people. But from what I remember from using this cards a little in the past, always has a pretty nice swing, and he looks crazy against lefties. So a lot of these Moonshot cards are just kind of relevant. I think I'm putting C tier because if you need a pinch hitter against lefties, we got, we got some better cards today, and then everybody's going to have that Justin Turner on their bench. So he's not really super relevant there. Colt Keith, between B and A. I think I'll give him A. He's always got a pretty decent swing. He's comparable to like a Kipnis or a Chase Utley. Definitely a little worse because he can't play the defense that those guys can play. But card just flat out rakes for like 2.5K, 3K, something like that. Card rakes. Joseph Ortiz. So this is one I'm probably gonna have to look up. Some of these like very low overalls, I'm sure they're not good. But I don't know them. Yeah, like 70, 82, 101, and he's not even good against righties. Doesn't have crazy clutch either. He is one of the better fielding cards, it looks like. But unfortunately, he's just basically completely irrelevant. Honestly, he's probably F tier. I think, you know, we get some comments saying use F tier. There you go. There's F tier. Just completely irrelevant. Pretty much no reason to run them unless you're running like a theme team. I guess a lot of these cards would benefit quite a bit from running like the team captains. So, you know, if you want to run Alan Trammell and Colt Keith and I think one other Kerry Carpenter got card and run the Tigers team, I'm sure they're all very good on that. But by himself, Alan Trammell just more of like a defensive Cal Ripken type of shortstop traditionally. So he gets kind of irrelevant. He gets more power, but way worse defensively. Kind of hurts his archetype. Joey Bart is another one we're going to have to look up. Usually Joey Bart actually has like pretty nice swings. It's just not going to pull up. All right. Showzone can be so finicky about like what they actually want to pull up. So it does have dead red, 120 left, 115 left, but the clutch is trash. So it's just Don Baylor all over again, where it's like there's a ton of righties where if you're down 1 run against a lefty in the 9th inning and you have no runners on base, you can use this guy. It's a lot more rarer to have a pinch hitter that also has good clutch. That's where like Justin Turner and stuff comes in. This Joey Bart, Don Baylor, cards like that, just kind of irrelevant because usually you're going to have a runner on base. So not a super relevant card there. Heliot Ramos, B tier. This is kind of what I was alluding to. Funny that they are back to back. Hopefully he wants to pop up here. He pops up last year, but not this year. Makes sense. There we go. So this card, not the craziest quirks in the world, but you're talking 125, 115, 105. He's competing with that Justin Turner. I assume he's faster. He's got 54 speed. He's an outfielder. Again, you're not playing him, but if you just need a pinch hitter against lefties on your bench, he's actually insane. Andy Pages, also disgusting at the game. You did not know that about him. I think his swing will be pretty good. It's very like Trout-ish a lot of the times, but I'm not sure about his stat. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with a lot of the stats on these guys. Has first pitch hitter. This card's trash. They wanted to give him 99 arm strength. It kind of inflates his overall. This card is trash. Maybe he has a good enough swing to where he's like D tier, but from what I can see, just not that crazy. Jesus Sanchez, nothing wrong with this card. He's not great. I think he's C tier. I think he's mostly irrelevant. If you're running this card, it's because you're on All-Star, or you're in the Moonshot event, or you're doing the Moonshot mini season. But he has a nice enough swing, good power both sides. He just has really bad contact against lefties, I believe, which holds him back a little bit. And then Lolo Sanchez, we can just ignore because, typed in Sanchez, and that's the card that came up. So Harmon Killebrew, always kind of like a super mid card there. No shocker. A lot of these 87s are just mid. I'll make sure that you always have to check, right? Because the one you don't check is going to have 0 durability and just be crazy. But he has 105 discipline and 63 contact left. So this is pretty much a home run derby card. This is, a lot of these cards kind of give off home run derby feel. He's like that. I think he's D tier because his contact is so bad that you're only using him if you're in the event or if you're an all-star player. So I think that's where he fits in. At least Sanchez has a role where his contact right isn't terrible. You could use him on Hall of Fame. Killebrew's probably beyond saving. JJ Bleday does not project great as a center fielder, but honestly has a really good swing. Again, dude, I wish I could just sit here and right click like I was in the past and pull up the cards, but here we are. 74, 90, 97, 90. Not the best clutch, not a good fielder. You're gonna have to play him in a secondary. D tier, mostly irrelevant. At least these shortstops, you can make the argument for there's not a ton of power hitting shortstops, so maybe you can make an argument for them. I feel like Bleday is just kind of past saving. Siri, I'll give B tier just because if you are an all-star player, if you are doing the event, stuff like that, he's like the perfect all-star center fielder. Always really fast, has a very nice swing, has crazy power. So as far as just all-star center fielders, this is your guy. You're not going to get a lot more out of him than that, though. Dalton Varsho, always trash. He's just always trash. The one card that has crazy defense from this drop, for no reason. And he always has a catcher secondary, but he's always not formatted great. JP Crawford, A tier, super usable card, 90 of every hitting attribute. Some people really love his swing, to where I think there will be a select group of people that would rather run him than Trevor Story, and I can't really diss on that because he's always got a really good swing. So nothing wrong with him. Michael Bush, trash. A lot of people really enjoyed his 92 team affinity or whatever he had last year. This is not that. Card's F tier is probably harsh. It's probably a D tier card. It's whatever. Again, another mini season card. Same for this Josh Smith. He's gonna be a pain to look up, I think. Yeah. Because his name is Josh H. Here he is. So this is a mini season exclusive reward, 96, 89, 186, 100 clutch. And actually not the worst fielding at third base. So where did he end up at? He is probably B tier. He's actually a pretty good card. It's just a lot of people are running it Devers or that's just kind of lefty third baseman Devers, Headley, J-Ram, Scott Rowland, Willie Castro out or in a secondary, Corey Seager out of position. So there's just a million third baseman. It went from kind of a weak spot to a pretty reinforced spot, to where Josh Smith, not super relevant, but for a free card, it's not that bad. Or maybe he's not a mini season. I think he might be in the path. I forget. He's either mini season or the path. Luis Arias, A tier. Some of you guys are probably looking at me cross-eyed because of that, but there's always kind of a select group of people that love Luis Arias cards, and this one actually has power. So just for you guys, I will put him in A tier, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that use him. At second base, not going to be terrible. At first base, probably better options, but definitely not a bad card by any means. Mason Wynn, I'd be lying if I can remember a time that I ever used him. I think he had a prospect card in Team Affinity a while ago. I probably took some swings with that card, but not enough to remember what his swings actually like. So it's a cool card. He actually has crazy arm strength. For some of you guys that might think I know none of the stats of any of these cards, he actually has really good arm strength. It's just the fielding isn't necessarily there. But at least he has the arm strength to kind of make up for it, because I'm sure he's going to get those animations where the ball's hit to him and it just pops out of his glove. Bryce Terang, just really mid. I mean, it's either D or C. I feel like both of these tiers are kind of irrelevant, but maybe there's like an argument to run him. It's just weird because he's like a speed, stolen base, fielding second baseman, and this card just matches, but not really on the level of a lot of these other cards. Kerry Carpenter, wherever Ramos is, he's like the righty hitter equivalent of that. Obviously, he's a lefty, but you put him into pinch hit against righties. So he's just kind of the equivalent of Ramos, except against righties. Sean Murphy, this is a really good card from today. Nothing wrong with him. I think price-wise, he's definitely better than like Wilson Contreras. It's just kind of up to you on the swings. Giambi, just like, let me make sure his contact isn't terrible, because I want to say he's just pretty much Ortiz. 88, 93, 81, 100. So you're getting a little more power left than you do from Ortiz, but you're getting less average contact. I think you're getting less clutch, a little bit faster, a little better fielder. Probably B tier. I don't think he sneaks in a lot of people's lineups. Giambi's always somebody that plays crazy, though. If you ever have used a Giambi, you kind of know. Where he always kind of plays crazy. Winker, just another version of Kerry Carpenter. I think they both have the pinch hitter quirk, if you care about that. I think they both have pretty good swings, or at least against righties, it's not really going to matter. So two really good pinch hitters, but how much value can you put on a pinch hitter? And then we have Bo Bichette. This is going to be a divisive one. He's like 150K right now, or at least that's where he's settled at. He's basically like the Polanco from this drop. Like, you are not going to pull this card. The Crescent Moon packs, I think he's like a 0.025% chance. And out of the... You actually can't see the pack odds on like the Eclipse and Full Moon packs, but I would assume he's like a 0.05% chance. So double. So you're not going to pull this card, but if you want to buy him, I mean, I think Willie Castro is better for like marginally more stubs. I think it depends on what you want, because he's going to mash mediocre against righties. Like, he's cool against righties. But he just destroys lefties, has pretty good clutch. He's just pretty slow. I think he's like mid-50s speed, mid-50s fielding. That might be too little at shortstop. I think if you're going to run him at shortstop, he almost has to be super fractured, so you go up a shield level. And even then, he's not going to be great. So he's actually probably better as like a DH, which is weird. It's weird to pay like 150K right now for a righty-only DH. But if you want to do that, if you're like platooning him and Shohei or something at DH, knock yourself out. I think he looks pretty good there at actual shortstop. I don't really love this card. Jock, probably A tier. It's just like a better version of Winker and Carpenter. Like, Winker and Carpenter are like 110, 105, contact power, clutch. Jock's like, basically maxed out against righties. So if you need a pinch hitter against righties late in the game, Jock Peterson's going to be your guy. I think A tier is as high as I can put a pinch hitter. Lou Brock, cool. B tier, it just depends. Like, if you're somebody that likes those old-timey hand-load swings, he's going to be your guy. Doesn't really give you what the traditional Lou Brock gives you, though. He's usually a high contact, high speed, mediocre fielding, which kind of helps sauce his attributes a little bit. But he's a power hitting Lou Brock card. He's cool. It's not a bad card by any means, but it's not really one I'd tell you to go out of your way for. Yasmani S tier. Is he the best card from today? He's got a conversation for it. Again, just another guy that kind of quiets down the pay to win crowd a little bit. If you go grind the program and keep your free pack players and go buy like a lot of the cheaper diamonds and stuff like that, he probably shouldn't run you that much. I think you need 30 cards from this, and you know we've got experience with the Easter program and the new threads, and I think there might have been one more. I'm forgetting, but we know with those programs, the longer you wait, the cheaper those cards get. So if you wait a little longer, this Yasmani probably be pretty easily obtainable in the near future. So super solid card there, very comparable to like Posada and Santana, where he is probably worse than both of them, but he's at least comparable. So he gives a good switch hitter option to a lot of more people that don't want to fork up the price of Posada or lock in all the cards for Santana. So pretty solid card there. Prince, as far as a 91 overall, I feel like he's not that crazy. He is the Diamond Quest reward. Pull him up real quick. I mean, he's sauced quirk-wise. First pitch, dead red, breaking ball. Those are the three I want. He also has bad ball hitter if you care. 81, 92, 85, 115, 85. 98 durability. So this card got hit with the durability stick, aka the ugly stick, and he's kind of mid. I mean, I think he's similar to Giambi. You know, both of them lack a little bit of contact. I think Prince has slightly better, probably similar quirks and just slightly better power. So cool card. Not really justified by a 91 overall, but it's a cool card. Bader. Bader's one I gotta check. He always has a really nice swing. The problem with this card is he is a primary left fielder, so doesn't suck there, but the contact's pretty low. The clutch is nice. It helps offset it a little bit, and the power is actually pretty nice. And he might be the best fielding card of the day. 85, 74 reaction. That's a lot higher than a lot of these other guys. Not the fastest card in the world, but not a bad card by any means. I'll put him in A, I think. Nah, he's B tier. Because Adolis will probably be better in left for most people. Springer has a secondary right field. Bernie Williams will probably be better out of position just because he's a switch hitter. So it's like, how much value are you really going to get out of this Bader? I think he's a cool card. If you're like a Yankees fan or a Twins fan or a Cardinals fan and you want to use him, then he's there for you, but he's nothing crazy. Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn. Did not look at this card because nobody had discovered him when I was on earlier. 91 overall, Tony Gwynn. First pitch, dead red, breaking ball. So again, my three favorite. 95, 103, 90, 80. So inverse splits on the power. Interesting. 103 contact, 65 speed, 71 reaction, 75 fielding. So it's not your traditional Tony Gwynn, and he could be good if not for this number. I think he needs a little bit more. Some people are really gonna enjoy his swing. I think he's cool, but I think for my money, I'd probably rather run Bader and not have to play a 5.5 hour mini season. I believe Bader is the Diamond Quest reward, 45 minutes, 5.5 hours. Not really equivalent. Cedric Mullins, A tier. He's cool. Is he worth being a chase card? Is he worth forking up anything over like 120k for? No, because you can go get Jordan. This card is not fast enough to play center field, in my opinion. I think he's just mid out there. Griffey's going to play better center field. A lot of people are on PCA, stuff like that. I believe this Mullins has like 64 speed, I want to say. We'll see if he pops up. Pretty sure he has like 64 speed. Yeah, so if you didn't think that I knew my stats, the top end cards that do. So 64, 70, 71. Pretty good against righties. Pretty good clutch. Got hit with the durability stick. a little unfortunate. So a lot of people are really gonna love his swing, and he's cool. But the thing is, you're not gonna run this card in center field. You're gonna run him in left. You're gonna run him in right. Might as well just have the new Jordan out there at that point. I feel like it just, have the higher arm, the slightly lower speed, and the better bat. So it's a cool card. Value wise, it's probably like a B tier card, but objectively, it's an A tier card. It's cool. He's fine. Delgado, A tier. Finally, it takes, I think, 16 cards or something like that. But we finally have a comparable card to like David Ortiz. Ortiz probably has better quirks than this, I would imagine, but 187, 106, 102. So you're gaining like what, 30 power left over like Ortiz, losing some clutch, gaining like 20 speed if you care about that, and a really sexy bat flip. So he always has a fire bat flip if you do care about that. He's solid. He's fine. I think A tier is solid, and he's solid. Clemente, B tier. I mean, the last Clemente I feel like a lot of people used was when he was the NL collection and like a new legend. He's cool. He's fine. Kind of like Gwynn, where it's not the traditional like right fielder you would want because he never has good power. So it's cool to see one with good power, and I think his swing has become underrated at this point. I'm sure he has really good quirks. But would I run him over Adolis? Would I run him over Springer? No. I think all those guys are better. Brian Roberts, S tier, up there with Yasmani for, is this the best card we got today? Yeah, maybe. I think a lot of people were running Cattell. A lot of people were running Jason Kipnis, Pizzana, Utley. Pretty much everybody just runs Cattell, to be honest. Polanco, guys like that. Brian Roberts kind of put an end to a lot of that. He's kind of what I was talking about earlier with Rengifo, where I was like, Rengifo was relevant for like 3 days. And that's because Brian Roberts is out, and he's free, and he's got better quirks. And a lot of people always really enjoy his swing, so really solid card there. Candelario, another really solid card that came out today. The issue with him is how important is 50 defense at third base? Are you just going to get bunted on by Pete Crow Armstrong every time, and Candelario is just going to miss the ball? It's tough. At first base, he projects better. At first base, he's definitely better than like Ortiz. He's just an upgraded like Santander at first base. So I think at first base, he might be the second best first baseman in the game behind like Gil Hodges. I think Santander might have been surpassed because Candelario last year, if you use the Easter card, was a monster for a long time. So I'm sure this one's no different. It's just the defense at third base is a little suspect. And then we got Buxton, who I think is an S-tier card. It's not the craziest card in the world. I think he's just really fun. I think it's a really fun card. Breaking Ball and Dead Red, 2 most important quirks, so that's dope. 101, 92, 90, 102, 100 clutch. So, on aggregate, that's like 96, 97 of every hitting stat before you get parallels on them. Has okay vision if you care about that. The problem here is the speed. I do wish the speed was higher. I wish it was like 90. Give him like 70-ish durability. Give him 90 speed. Get him to where if you superfractor him, he gets up to like 95. Is probably where you'd want to be, because fielding's not great, reaction's not great, arm strength isn't great. So he's missing a lot, but it's still a really good card. So nothing wrong with him there. We'll organize our S tier here. I think it's pretty much already organized. I think Jason's probably higher. And then I won't really worry about the A tier. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the tier list. Let me know if I missed anybody. And if you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.